The holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the Grand Assembly Hall, casting an eerie blue glow across the faces of 1,000 alien delegates. Supreme Arbiter Velnox, a towering creature with crystalline skin that refracted light into rainbow patterns, raised all 4 of its arms in a gesture of finality. "The decision is unanimous," Velnox's voice reverberated through the translation matrices. "The human species has violated Galactic Protocol 7 Alpha. They have expanded beyond their designated sectors. They have refused to surrender their military assets. War is hereby declared upon Earth and all her colonies." A wave of chittering, buzzing, and harmonic tones swept through the assembly, the alien equivalent of agreement. The Zephrani clicked their mandibles in satisfaction. The Kron delegation pounded their mechanical appendages against their seats. Even the peaceful Luminari seemed to nod their gaseous forms in reluctant acceptance. At the far end of the hall, in the smallest delegation booth designed for the youngest species in the council, sat 2 humans. Ariana Cross leaned back in her chair, her dark hair pulled into a practical bun, her expression utterly serene. Beside her, Julian Kane drummed his fingers on the armrest, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "Did you hear that?" Velnox's voice took on an edge of confusion. "I said we have declared war on your species." Ariana stood slowly, smoothing down her simple gray uniform. "We heard you, Supreme Arbiter. We heard you perfectly." "And yet you smile?" a Zephrani commander hissed from across the hall. "Your world, your people. Face annihilation. 27 civilizations stand united against you. We have conquered 1,000 systems. Our fleets darken the stars themselves." Julian rose beside Ariana, his smile widening just a fraction. "Oh, we're not smiling because we didn't understand. We're smiling because you clearly don't understand us." The assembly fell silent. Even the constant humming of the Luminari ceased. Ariana activated her wrist display, and suddenly the air filled with data streams and tactical readouts. "Let me explain something about humanity that apparently didn't make it into your cultural database. We're not like you. When the Zephrani were threatened with war, they surrendered their homeworld and became nomads. When the Kron faced extinction, they uploaded their consciousness into machines and hid in the void. The Luminari literally evolved to become non-corporeal to avoid conflict. Survival is wisdom, Velnox intoned. Perhaps, Julian said, pacing forward. But humans? We evolved on a death world. Our planet tried to kill us with ice ages, supervolcanoes, plagues, and predators that saw us as food. We didn't transcend. We didn't flee. We didn't adapt to avoid the fight. He paused, his eyes scanning the assembly. We fought back, and we won. Every single time. Ariana's fingers danced across her display. Images filled the hall. Ancient Earth history rendered in brutal detail. When resources were scarce, we didn't politely decline to reproduce. We invented agriculture. When disease threatened to wipe us out, we didn't accept our fate. We invented medicine. When we wanted to reach the stars and had no natural ability to do so, we didn't wait to evolve. She looked up, her eyes hard. We built rockets and tore our way into space through sheer stubbornness. This is irrelevant bravado, the Zephrani commander snapped. You number barely 8 billion across 12 colony worlds. We number in the trillions. Our weapons can crack planets. Our soldiers have fought for millennia. And there's your mistake, Julian said softly. You think war is about numbers, about technology, about experience. He walked closer to the central platform, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast hall. War, real war, is about will. It's about what you're willing to sacrifice, what you're willing to become. Ariana continued, her voice steady and cold. You want to know what humanity will do when faced with extinction? Let me tell you a story. In our year 1945, We created a weapon that could obliterate cities in an instant, a weapon that poisoned the very ground it touched. We used it, twice, on ourselves. She let that sink in. We were so determined to win a war that we unleashed the power of stars against our own species. The assembly erupted in shocked sounds, gasps, electronic screeches, bioluminescent flashes of distress. "That's madness," Velnox whispered. "Yes," Julian agreed, his smile gone now, replaced by something far more frightening, absolute certainty. "We are mad, beautifully, terrifyingly mad. We write songs about dying gloriously. We build memorials to our wars. We tell stories about last stands and impossible victories to our children as bedtime tales. We don't just accept death in service of survival. We romanticize it." Ariana pulled up another display. "You have 12 hours to rescind your declaration of war. If you don't, we'll show you what 3 million years of evolving on a death world actually means. We'll show you what happens when a species that never learned to quit faces long odds." She looked directly at Velnox. "You think you've conquered 1,000 systems? We've been at war with our own planet since we first stood upright. We've been at war with each other for our entire history. War isn't something that happens to us. War is what we are." "You're bluffing," the Zephrani commander said, but his voice wavered. Julian laughed, not a cruel laugh, but genuine amusement. "You really don't get it. Humans don't bluff about war. We're the species that looked at everything trying to kill us and decided to domesticate it, eat it, or make it into a pet. We turned wolves into chihuahuas. We took one of the most poisonous fruits on Earth and selectively bred it for 10,000 years until it became tomatoes." He leaned forward. "Imagine what we'll do to you when we're actually trying to hurt you." Silence fell across the Grand Assembly Hall. Ariana and Julian stood side by side, two representatives of a young species that suddenly didn't seem young at all. Around them, the greatest civilizations in the galaxy, ancient races with technologies beyond comprehension and histories spanning epochs, looked at these humans and, for the first time, felt something they hadn't experienced in millennia: fear. Supreme Arbiter. Velnox's crystalline form seemed to dim. "Perhaps we should reconsider." Ariana's smile returned, warm and diplomatic once more. "That would be wise, Supreme Arbiter. After all, we'd much prefer to remain friends." She paused. "Friends are so much better than enemies. At least that's what we humans think. Though honestly," Julian added cheerfully, "we're pretty good at both." The vote to rescind the declaration of war was unanimous. It took less than 3 minutes. As they left the Grand Assembly Hall, Ariana glanced at Julian. "Do you think we laid it on too thick?" Julian shrugged, grinning. "Not our fault they never studied human history. Besides, we didn't lie about anything." "No," Ariana agreed, looking back at the hall where 1,000 alien civilizations were frantically updating their databases on humanity. "No, we didn't." And somewhere in the depths of space, the human fleets that had been quietly positioning themselves around Council space received the stand-down order. Their crews already composing songs about the war that never was, but that they'd been fully prepared to fight. Because that's what humans did.